Have you ever felt weighed down by negative thoughts, like a shadow you just can't outrun? Maybe it's the persistent anxiety over what lies ahead, the quick anger sparked by things beyond your control, or that paralyzing fear that keeps you stuck. These emotions do more than just tire you out. They quietly dim your inner light and joy. But know this, you're not alone. We've all faced those heavy moments, asking ourselves how we can ever break free. Stoicism, with its enduring wisdom, offers far more than philosophical reflection. It gives us a toolkit to face these emotions directly. It reminds us that inner peace isn't about avoiding how we feel, but about mastering the mind so we're not swept away by those feelings. The road ahead isn't necessarily easy, but it's one you can travel. And if you're ready to begin, what follows isn't some empty idea. It's real, lived wisdom, drawn from personal experience and the principles of Stoicism itself. So stay engaged. Don't miss a single insight, because every moment of this journey brings you a step closer to freeing yourself from negative emotions and reclaiming the steering wheel of your life. Let's begin this transformation together. Number 1. Realize your mind can be a source of joy. The human mind is an extraordinary gift capable of producing every emotion under the sun, from deep sorrow and anxious fear to lighthearted joy and calm serenity. Yet many of us never truly learn how to use this gift properly. Rather than being a friend, our minds often become our biggest enemy. Not because they're broken, but because we've let them run on autopilot, hitting all the wrong emotional notes. Think of your mind like a keyboard. Sitting alone in a quiet room, you could type thoughts filled with failure, regret, or fear, but you could just as easily type out joy, gratitude, or warmth. Like a skilled musician playing a familiar melody, you too can learn to strike the right mental chords to create emotional harmony. If you find yourself spiraling in negativity, it's not always because life is terrible, but often because you're unconsciously hitting the wrong keys. Take mornings, for example. If you begin your day thinking about stress, conflict, or what's unfinished, you'll naturally feel anxious. But shift that thought to something as simple as the fact that you're alive, that today is another chance, you'll feel different instantly. Joy isn't some distant prize to chase. It lives within you. Most of us look for it outside ourselves, in wealth, recognition, or status, hoping those things will bring lasting happiness. But Stoicism reminds us, the real source of joy is the mind itself. Stop feeding it negativity, and joy will emerge on its own. Picture a common scene. It's the middle of the afternoon, and you're overwhelmed by your to-do list. If you focus only on pressure, your thoughts will spiral downward. But if you stop, look out the window, and notice the sunlight or rustling leaves, you'll find peace. You didn't accomplish more, you simply shifted perspective. That's the power of the mind. Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Yet our minds are often stuck in what was or what might be. Imagine spending time with loved ones, but being too caught up in work worries to enjoy it. Here's something simple to try. The next time you feel negativity building, stop and ask yourself, am I pressing the wrong key? Then consciously switch your thought. Think of something you're thankful for or a time you were happy. This awareness is the first step toward quieting fear, softening anger, and soothing anxiety. When you learn to guide your mind, you don't just reduce suffering, you invite in peace and joy. This isn't an abstract theory, it's something you can begin right now. As Marcus Aurelius said, a very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Number 2, learn to master your mind. Once you understand that the mind holds the power to create both joy and suffering, something profound becomes clear. Your happiness isn't determined by what happens around you, but by how you manage what happens within you. But simply realizing this isn't enough. The real challenge, the more important step, is learning to truly master your mind so it becomes your strength, not your struggle. So how do you actually gain control of the mind? Stoic philosophy teaches that our suffering rarely comes from external circumstances. It comes from how we choose to interpret and respond to them. Reflect on the moments where you allowed anger to take the lead. You lashed out, raised your voice, maybe even said something hurtful. And afterward, did you feel lighter? Probably not. As Seneca put it, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. So ask yourself, is it ever worth exchanging your inner calm for a few seconds of emotional chaos? Anger and other intense feelings aren't external forces attacking you. They don't have lives of their own. They are mental reactions, automatic, untrained responses of the mind when left unchecked. Think of your mind like an unbroken horse. If you don't guide it, it will run wild, dragging you through the emotional dirt of life. When you feel overwhelmed with anger, fear, or anxiety, it's usually a sign your mind is running on autopilot. So how do you take back the reins? Start by treating your mind as a partner, not a problem. Instead of battling your emotions, observe them. When anger bubbles up, resist the temptation to explode. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, why am I angry? Is this really worth losing my peace? Would choosing not to react change anything for the better? This kind of inner questioning allows you to respond with clarity, not just reflex. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That power of choice, your response, is your greatest strength. Life is a mix of smooth sailing and sudden storms. Some days everything clicks into place. Other days, a small annoyance, a rude comment, a traffic jam can completely throw you off course. In those moments, remember, you may not be able to control what happens, but you always control how you react. Picture driving on a packed highway. You can't stop someone from cutting you off or running a red light, but you can decide whether to yell in anger or simply ease off the gas and keep your peace. Life is just like that. You may not control every situation, but you can always steer your response. Mastering the mind isn't a one-time event. It's like building a strong body. It requires consistency. You don't get strong overnight. You grow through daily discipline, moment by moment. When you're faced with fear or stress, instead of letting your emotions spiral, center yourself. Focus on your breath. Remind yourself that this moment too shall pass. Controlling the mind doesn't mean you'll never feel negativity. It means learning to live peacefully with your emotions. All feelings, good and bad, are part of being human. But when you master the mind, you don't let those feelings run your life. You lead. You become steady, grounded, unshaken even by life's greatest storms. Your mind, once trained, becomes more than just a tool for calm. It becomes a wellspring of joy, clarity, and untapped power. So the question now is, are you ready to start that journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's the biggest challenge you faced in mastering your mind? Have you ever found unexpected strength or joy by changing how you think and feel? We'd love to hear your story. Now let's move forward to the next step on this journey. Number 3, stop letting imagination run wild. When fear, anger, or anxiety take over, have you ever paused to ask yourself, where are these emotions really coming from? More often than not, it's not the actual situation we fear, but the version our mind invents. Most of our suffering doesn't stem from reality. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves about reality. Think back to the last time anxiety gripped you. Did your mind begin spinning a reel of worst-case scenarios? Maybe you pictured being humiliated in a meeting, or assumed an email from your boss was a sign of trouble. But how many of those feared outcomes actually materialized? Likely, almost none. Epictetus once said, men are not worried by real problems so much as by their imagined anxieties about real problems. And he was right. It's not reality that paralyzes us. It's our imagination gone unchecked. Unfortunately, we often accept these imagined fears as truth, letting them control our emotions as if they were fact. Our imagination is an extraordinary gift, one that can create entire worlds. But left untamed, it becomes a trap. Instead of being our escape, it becomes our prison. Think of your mind as a brilliant film director, but one who insists on producing horror movies. You watch this mental film unfold, dark, distressing, full of imagined threats. Your heart pounds, your hands sweat, and yet nothing has actually happened. Still, the illusion hurts. What if we flipped the script? What if, instead of producing tragedies, we used that same creative power to make uplifting films? Instead of seeing that stressful meeting ending in disaster, imagine it turning into a lighthearted conversation. Instead of reading dread into a vague message from your boss, imagine its praise or good news. Your mind can create joy just as easily as it crafts dread. Close your eyes, picture something that makes you laugh, a place that makes you feel at peace, or a face that makes you feel loved. These moments, just like fearful ones, are only thoughts, but they have the power to change how you feel right now. Let's take a real-world example. Someone receives a short, serious message from their partner who need to talk immediately. Instantly, their mind races. Something's wrong. The relationship's in danger. They rehearse arguments in their head, prepare for the worst. But when they finally speak, it turns out their partner just wanted to share exciting news. All that mental suffering? Completely unnecessary. This is the trap of imagination left unexamined. It leads you down dark alleys where nothing is actually lurking. Recognizing this is the first step toward freedom. You don't need to fight fear, you just need to see through it. You can't battle shadows, but you can choose not to believe in them. Tell your fear, you're not real. I choose not to give you power. In a world full of uncertainty, your mind should be the safest place you know, not a storm of made-up tragedies. Instead of tormenting yourself with nightmare scenarios, why not create something kinder? A calm forest, a moment of laughter, a joyful reunion. As Seneca so clearly put it, and we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Yes, life has its hardships, but if reality is already difficult, The least you deserve is an inner world that brings you peace, not more pain. When your imagination serves you, rather than rules you, your mind becomes a refuge, not a battleground. So the message is simple. Imagination isn't your enemy, it's one of your greatest tools. But like any tool, it must be guided. Directed toward hope, toward peace, toward what uplifts you. Because once you stop letting your mind build false horrors, you'll discover something unexpected. Reality, though imperfect, is rarely as frightening as the stories we tell ourselves. And in that awareness, you'll find true, lasting peace. Number 4, reframe how you label emotions. Letting go of overthinking brings relief and clarity to the mind, but that's just the starting point. To truly rise above negative emotions, you must shift the way you label them. The language you use to define your emotions directly shapes the influence they have over you. Take this relatable moment. You wake up on a gray, rainy morning. There's a pile of tasks waiting, and everything seems to be working against you. Frustration begins to rise. You assume the day is doomed from the start, but pause. Ask yourself honestly, is the rain really the issue here? Rain in itself is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. The meaning you attach to it, whether as an inconvenience or a cozy backdrop for reflection, determines how you feel. When you change how you interpret emotions, you change your emotional experience altogether. Every emotion starts as a thought, and thoughts, at their core, are just passing waves in the sea of the mind. The trouble is, most of the time, we're not even aware they're forming. An untamed mind works like a wild engine, constantly reacting, rarely responding with intention. Fear, anxiety, anger, these emotions aren't powerful on their own. It's our unchecked reactions that give them strength. Imagine this. You're gearing up for a major presentation. Anxiety kicks in, your hands sweat, your chest tightens, and suddenly, you feel overwhelmed. But pause again. Is that anxiety something to run from? Or is it actually a signal that you care deeply, that this matters to you? Viewed this way, anxiety isn't a foe, it becomes fuel. It sharpens your focus, it helps you prepare. Emotions, in themselves, aren't bad or good. What makes them heavy or light is the meaning we assign to them. In truth, thoughts fall into just 2 categories, conscious and unconscious. Conscious thoughts are those you guide purposefully toward clarity, toward progress. Unconscious thoughts are the mind's default stream, dragging you wherever it wants without direction. This unconscious drift is where most suffering lives. It causes us to react without reflection. Stoicism reminds us that freedom lies in awareness. A person ruled by emotion often isn't suffering from the emotion itself, but from being unaware of its root. Many of us fall into the trap of trying to suppress how we feel, believing that eliminating negativity will lead to peace. But often, the harder we try to erase emotions, the more they intensify. Try a small experiment. For the next 10 seconds, don't think about a monkey. Chances are, that's now all you can picture. Why? Because forcing your mind not to go somewhere only pushes it further in that direction. The same thing happens when we try to reject fear, anxiety, or anger. They grow louder. Instead of resisting emotions, reframe them, accept them, redefine them. Anxiety can be care in disguise. Anger might point to a deep sense of fairness. Fear can mean you're stretching beyond your comfort zone. No emotion is an enemy, unless you make it one by mislabeling it. Life is a constant journey of growth and discovery. Emotions, every one of them, are signs that you're alive, evolving, and learning. When you change the lens through which you view your emotions, you step into a space beyond suffering. You move closer to a life filled with calm, gratitude, and control. Stoicism doesn't teach us to numb our emotions or detach from them. It teaches us to see them clearly, to understand them, and to use them. Every emotion is a doorway to greater insight. And if you're still with me at this point, take a moment to honor yourself. You've chosen growth over comfort. You've shown the courage to explore your inner world, and that alone is powerful. This understanding, the way to reframe your emotions, isn't just another idea. It's a foundation, a toolkit, one you can now carry into every challenge that life throws your way. If this message resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone else who might need it. As this chapter closes, you're now equipped with one of the most powerful mindset tools available. And stay with me, because the most important lesson is still ahead. Number 5. Understand how the mind works. One of the most powerful steps toward conquering negative thoughts and emotions is learning how your mind actually operates. As Marcus Aurelius once observed, "An human mind is the one thing we have the most control over, yet we often understand it the least." Without understanding the mind's inner mechanics, it's easy to get trapped in recurring loops of anxiety, fear, and frustration, becoming a prisoner to your own thoughts instead of their master. Think of your mind like a garden. When it's left alone, weeds, negative thoughts quickly sprout and spread. But if you cultivate it, plant seeds of intention and water it with care, it can blossom into something beautiful, vibrant, and nourishing. The problem is that many people treat the mind like a tool that cuts away unwanted feelings, like scissors snipping out fear or sadness. But the mind doesn't work like that. In fact, the more you try to suppress a thought or emotion, the stronger it becomes. Consider this. If I ask you not to think about a pink elephant, what pops into your head? That exact image. This is how the mind works. What you resist tends to persist. Epictetus once said, "And men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." It's not what happens to you that causes suffering, but how you interpret it. So rather than trying to delete fear or anxiety, try asking, what are these feelings trying to show me? Fear might be urging you to prepare more. Anxiety could be a signal that something truly matters to you. When you reframe your emotions this way, they stop being threats and start becoming teachers. Visualize your mind as a powerful car. It has enormous potential. But if no one's at the wheel, it can crash into chaos. The mind, too, when left unmanaged, will wander into the shadows of fear, worry, or anger. But if you become the driver, if you choose to take control, you can direct it wherever you want to go. Maybe you've felt that wave of anxiety hit just before an important meeting or presentation. Your thoughts spiral. What if I mess up? What if I look stupid? But here's a moment to reclaim control. Shift your narrative. This is a chance to learn. If I stumble, I grow. If I succeed, I gain confidence. That simple reframe can calm your mind in an instant and bring you back to center. Here's another powerful truth. The mind functions through addition and amplification. It multiplies whatever you focus on. If you fixate on a mistake, your mind will replay it, exaggerate it, and soon, a tiny misstep becomes a mountain. You might even hear yourself say, "and not good enough." But if you redirect your focus, and this doesn't define me, I can recover, I can grow, then your mind magnifies strength and courage instead. Understanding your mind isn't a one-time insight, it's an ongoing practice. Begin by listening. The next time you're swept up in negative emotion, pause, breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what triggered this? Is it really as bad as it seems? Is it worth my peace? These questions create a gap, a sacred space between you and your thoughts. And in that space, clarity is born. What you'll discover is this: your thoughts and emotions are not your identity. They're passing clouds, not the sky itself. Your true self is the observer, the stillness underneath the storm. The most profound act of self-mastery is to understand and accept the workings of your mind. It's not your enemy. It's a tool, a companion, one that will faithfully serve you, as long as you learn how to guide it. So ask yourself today, what thoughts am I choosing to nurture? Will they bring me peace, resilience, and joy? The power is in your hands. Number 6. Detach yourself from your thoughts. Once you begin to understand how the mind functions, a powerful realization emerges. Your negative thoughts and emotions are not a reflection of your true self. They're simply natural byproducts of the mind. But awareness alone isn't enough. To truly find peace, you must learn to detach, to step back from your thoughts instead of being consumed by them. Think of it like viewing a painting. If you stand too close, all you see are scattered brushstrokes. But when you step back, the full picture becomes clear. This mental distance gives you perspective, calm, and ultimately, control. You stop reacting to thoughts and start observing them. Picture this: you're in an important meeting and suddenly, a thought sneaks in. What if I say something stupid? What if everyone thinks I'm not good enough? That single thought triggers anxiety and self-doubt. But pause. Ask yourself, is it actually true, or is it just a fearful story your mind made up? This is the power of detachment. When you create space between yourself and your thoughts, you start to see them for what they really are: passing narratives, not permanent truths, just whispers of the mind, not reality. To begin building that space, practice observing your thoughts as if you were watching someone else's mind. Imagine your mind as a vast blue sky, and your thoughts as drifting clouds. Some are light and soft, others dark and heavy, but none of them define the sky itself. You are not the clouds. You are the sky, infinite, still, unshaken. A simple yet effective way to detach from your thoughts is to label your emotions when they arise. If you feel anxious, instead of saying "in anxious," say "in anxiety." I see it, but I am not it. That small shift creates powerful clarity. It's like flipping on a light switch in a dark room. Modern psychology backs this up. Naming your emotions helps reduce their intensity, and Stoicism has taught this all along. Awareness is the first step to mastery. In moments of emotional overwhelm, our perspective narrows. We hyper-focus on the momentary problem and lose sight of the bigger picture. This is when you must ask yourself, will this still matter in a week, in a month, a year? And most importantly, Ask yourself the ultimate Stoic question: is this within my control? If it is, then act. If it's not, then let it go. Don't give away your peace for something you cannot change. Another powerful tool for detachment is mindfulness. When a strong emotion surfaces, stop, breathe, feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. Anchor yourself in the present moment. As you do, you'll start to see your thoughts as fleeting, not fixed. You'll realize you are the observer, not the storm. Like a river, your thoughts and emotions flow through you. But you don't have to dive in. You can simply stand on the bank and watch them pass. Your mind, when left untamed, can become your greatest enemy. But when understood and guided, it transforms into your greatest ally. You'll stop fearing life's challenges, not because they disappear, but because you've built the inner strength to face them with calm, clarity, and courage. Say it out loud, or affirm in the comments, "And I am not my emotions." Let that truth sink in. Once you've embraced this mindset, you're ready to move into the final and most powerful lesson of the day. Number 7. Continuously train your mind to combat negativity. Now that you've learned to observe your mind with clarity and detach from your thoughts, it's time to turn that awareness into a lifelong habit. The final lesson is simple, but vital. Never stop training your mind. Mental discipline isn't a one-time fix. It's a daily commitment, a practice as essential as eating or sleeping. To the Stoics, training the mind was not a temporary pursuit, but a lifelong mission. They understood that emotions like fear, anger, and anxiety will always exist, just as shadows exist wherever there is light. But the power lies in our response, and that can be trained. Yet many people fall into the trap of chasing emotional perfection. They read a few books, hear a few quotes, and believe they've conquered their inner turmoil. But that's an illusion. Trying to escape negative emotions is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Sooner or later, it bursts back with greater force. Suppressing what you feel doesn't eliminate the emotion, it stores it. And when it resurfaces, it often does so more intensely than before. The Stoic path doesn't ask you to run from these emotions, but to face them, understand them, and train your mind to navigate them wisely. Think of your mind as a garden. It requires daily watering, sunlight, and care. You can't expect roses to bloom if you only tend to them once a month. The same goes for your inner world. Epictetus reminds us, "No great thing is created suddenly." Just like a fig needs time to blossom and ripen, the mind needs consistent nurturing to bear fruit. So start small. When anxiety surfaces, pause and ask yourself, will this matter 5 years from now? This isn't just a stress relief trick, it's mental training. You're teaching your mind to zoom out, to see beyond the urgency of the moment, and to respond with wisdom instead of fear. Imagine this scenario. You're preparing for a major presentation at work. Fear grips you. What if I mess up? What if they laugh at me? But here's your opportunity. Rather than crumbling under pressure, practice a Stoic exercise known as premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then ask, how would I handle it? By accepting the possibility of failure, you free yourself from its grip. Fear loses its power, and in its place comes calm preparedness. One powerful daily ritual is this. Take 5 minutes each evening to reflect. Write down what emotions you felt that day. What made you angry? What made you anxious? How did you react, and how could you have responded differently? This simple journaling habit builds emotional awareness and helps you prepare for similar situations in the future. You're not just reflecting, you're rehearsing a better version of yourself. Understand this. Training your mind is not a destination. It's not about reaching some perfect mental state. It's a journey. One step at a time, your inner resilience grows. You won't always get it right, but progress, not perfection, is what matters. Overcoming negative emotions isn't about destroying them. It's about living alongside them with calm, patience, and self-control. 7 lessons you've learned aren't just theory. They're tools. Tools that can help you reclaim your peace and strengthen your inner fortress. From recognizing your mind as the root of both your suffering and your joy, to reframing your emotions and creating mindful distance from your thoughts, every lesson is a step toward personal freedom. But none of it matters without consistency. The mind, like the body, grows only through daily training. If you found value in this video, hit that like button to support this channel and help spread this powerful message to others. Comment below and share your journey. What resonated with you most? Which lesson will you begin applying today? And if you know someone who's struggling with their inner world, share this video. You never know how much a single idea can change someone's life. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this journey doesn't end here. More content is on the way to help you grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient every day. Thank you for watching. And remember, the power to change your life starts within you.